Have doctors told the felon not to fly long distances because of his heart? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos. Your comments and your likes really help the algorithm spread to other people, as does sharing the video and watching the video all the way to the end. So for doing all that, huge thank you. I have started a YouTube membership. I've mentioned it a few times. If you sign up before Monday, the 8th, and email me, and there's instructions in the membership how to do that, you can get $25 off of a 30-minute reading with me. YouTube membership's only $4.99, and you can cancel it at any time. So if you want a 30-minute reading with me, this would be a good way to save some money. Okay. So the felon announced that Vance is going to go to Johannesburg, South Africa for the G20 meeting in November. When I first heard that, I just instantly got this visualization of these compression socks that they sometimes tell people to wear on airplanes. And I thought, from the last time I got a really good scrying image of his heart, it's like the right side was beating slower than the left side. And I guess they call that a galloping heartbeat. Anyhow, long flights with arrhythmias can be quite dangerous. So is that really why? And is he predicating this out several months ahead just to kind of cover his bases? I guess we'll see if he takes any other long flights along the way, but I want to start by throwing cards on that. And then I want to look at how the lunar eclipse on Sunday, which will be tomorrow by the time I release this video, is going to affect his health. I want to look at the solar eclipse, which I believe is on the 21st of September, how that's going to affect his health. And then I just want to look at his health in October, see if we can't glean a little bit more now that I'm feeling pretty confident that there's something wrong with his heart. I mean, I've always thought that, but I think now there's starting to be evidence, and tarot shouldn't be devoid of logic in my vantage point. So, yeah, let's just look here. The doctors tell him that he should avoid long flights. The doctors tell him he should avoid long flights. I did notice too at the press conference. First of all, there's been some people saying that, oh, he looks healthy. He looks healthy on the channel. I'm pretty sure they're trolls, but um, at the press conference, when you look at it, he almost seemed out of breath when he spoke. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but this would also be a pretty good sign of there being some health or heart issues. And he was like clenching the podium, like he, wasn't just standing on his own very easily, didn't appear. So now the other, first of all, let's look to see if he was told. The other reason why he might be told not to fly is if he is at risk for really high risk for repeated strokes, which I do think is going on as well. Yeah, so you're getting the same image of those like ugly kind of tan colored compression socks in the scrying bowl again. Um, yes, we start with the Ace of Cups. It's a new beginning, a surprising new beginning, an emotional new beginning. Really, anytime one has to accept limitations on their physical health, it can be quite emotional, and it's definitely takes some time to accept. And I think he's kind of, I don't know that he's going to follow the doctor's advice, by the way. I just think that this is what the cards are saying is that there is this new beginning around being able to fly for long distances. And we get the Three of Cups circles of support and celebration in the environment around. I don't think that has anything to do with him. I think that has to do with the people around him that are just ready for him to be gone. You know, of course, we on this channel find him exhausting and are just ready for it to be over. But I think the truth is Vance and Rubio and some others really, they're just ready for him to be gone too. I mean, if you put a lie detector to people, I think you would find the vast majority of the country's ready for him to be gone. We get the moon card volatility in the upper right, things coming to the surface. Blood clots surfacing from his legs, perhaps if he flies too long. Although I think with the arrhythmias, it's more of a concern about, the cabin pressure and the oxygen supply. Well, whatever he said about the G20 summit and why Vance is going certainly isn't the truth with the Seven of Swords, right? Deceit, deception, dishonesty. Um, Certainly not the truth. And we get another ace, the Ace of Swords at the center of the reading, which is the truth. So the question was, did doctors tell him not to fly because of heart issues or health issues? And the truth is at the center, which to me tells me that we're right. The Nine of Wands, guardrails, putting up safety measures, precautions. That's what doctors are supposed to do for us, right? So that's what they're doing for him. Uh, and we get the Six of Cups, intergenerational relationships, growing older, kids taking care of their parents, parents taking care of their kids. Also, I've been getting repeatedly this almost nostalgic, um, feeling that he has, but it really doesn't involve his kids so much as it just involves when he was young and healthy and could do things without people caring. Um, Fiery messages coming forward. I think the warning was pretty stark that if you do this, this will be bad. And then we get victory. The question is whose victory, and I think in this case it's ours. So yeah, they're facing new limitations on what he can do, including restrictions on his travel. That's just the truth of the matter. Um, and in a lot of ways, this is the victory for the country because it'll lessen the international embarrassment that he is. Not that Vance is better, but you know, I do think he's nostalgic for his healthier days, but that's just not the truth. And his health is quite volatile right now. It's no longer stable. Remember when we read on his health in the past, it always came out that it was stable, but it wasn't going to be in the future. I think we've moved past that. His health isn't stable anymore. It's quite volatile. I think there are people in the administration that are ready for him to go. I do think that they are lying and telling misdeeds about why he's not going to go to the G20. I think there'll be more and more deceptions, by the way. I think this message from the doctors was taken quite seriously. Whatever happened last weekend was very scary. The stress test of I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe which was what I was getting. Whether that's accurate or not is another story, but it sure feels accurate. And this has led to putting up really stringent precautions that he needs to take, such as not being on an airplane for 12 hours at a time. Underneath we get the star card of protection, and we get the Empress. and the Eight of Wands, things are going to start moving really quick here. That's my feeling is we're into it's like the home stretch or the last quarter of the game, however you want to think about it. So Vance going to the G20, I think this is because he's been told not to fly for long distances. We'll see if there are other flights that happen here in the near future, and how he fares. Now this, I think, is because of heart arrhythmias, but it's possible it was because of a stroke as well. So let's just look at his health during the lunar eclipse. So the lunar eclipse happens on Sunday the 9th or Sunday the 7th, I'm sorry. Um, I do think this is going to negatively affect him and other world leaders, not just him, but other world leaders as well. That reading's on the other channel if you want to look at it. Okay. But let's look very specifically at his health. The other reading wasn't so much about health, it was just about um, the effects. What does the lunar eclipse do to his health? Definitely, I still think we're getting with this expose revelations. He was born on an eclipse. It's definitely not going to help things, right? It's going to make him feel more burdened than ever. I think it'd be really interesting to see if he has public appearances to where we can notice whether his breath seems labored. Because I feel like his breath is kind of labored right now. Like it's you know how like when you have like a really bad chest cold and you just it's not that you can't breathe, it's just it's harder than normal. You kind of think about it every once in a while. You just don't let your breath just happen. I feel like he's focused on his breath a little bit. It's labored. The moon, this is good. Volatility, but just representation for talking about the eclipse. Things coming to the surface revelations. I do think we're going to get more information. Um, how far out that goes, it's hard to say because, you know, astrological events don't mean that things happen right on the eclipse, right? You have to have plus or minus some time frame in here. I think it's like a month. We get the victory card again, this time in the upper right. I think everybody really is just waiting. We're just waiting, including him. He's waiting. Um, at the center of the reading is the Six of Cups again, as well. These intergenerational relationships, this nostalgic view, this longing for better health, blind choices. I do think some of the therapies that he's seeking out they're not exactly experimental, but it's not really sure whether they're going to help, right? They're just kind of throwing things out there. Yeah. Toxicity, mis and disinformation. Um, in particular, since this is kind of a health reading, I really do think there's some issues with toxins in his body. His kidneys not functioning properly. Uh, and we get greed in the environment around. And we get the Ace of Pentacles, a new reality of around his health. So the lunar eclipse is going to bring about burdens and like the longing for better health or remembering the days when he had better health. and the realization of the reality of the way his health is now and that it's not going to get better. And there's a lot of toxicity in the body, wishing for days when that wasn't the case, and also thinking about, you know, chauvinistic, misogynistic types of activities. Um, is what the Six of Wands is about there. So the lunar eclipse, I do think, brings about revelations. Exactly when, it's a little uncertain. We're all just waiting. You know, the greed of the past, it catches up with the body. It's all about karma. And I do think that a lot of the treatments he's going through are just kind of, let's see if they work. They're not that guaranteed. Yeah, giving and receiving a lot of medicines, walking away from things that don't serve us anymore. In this case, this could be just long trips. Um, and the Queen of Cups, and then abuse of power with the Emperor card. So expect him to be quite erratic, I would think. Kind of pick up on that as well. Well, that's kind of hard to tell because he's, erratic all the time. Okay, so what about the solar eclipse? So the solar eclipse, I believe it's the 21st, give or take a couple days. I think it's the same day as the equinox. Yeah, it's the 21st. Um, how's the solar eclipse going to affect his health? How's the solar eclipse going to affect his health? Solar eclipse. He, see him like sweating from the brow quite a bit. This is an embarrassing situation because it smears his makeup. I think this doesn't feel good at all. I think by the time we get to the solar eclipse, things are quite, um, he's having a harder and harder time. His body's having a harder time regulating its functions, breath, temperature, all these sorts of things that tends to happen. Take a look there. Then we'll look at him in October just to see if we can't glean what's going on there. Okay, so definitely something coming forward around a health event around this time. Another page, a page of cups. Almost feels like there's going to be an embarrassing type of event. Maybe it is like the smearing of the makeup when he sweats from the brow. Something like that. I can kind of hear laughter in the background, and it's like I don't know if he's like on a podium on a stage or if it's just like the press kind of in the background noticing the truth. The Ace of Swords, the Six of Pentacles, again, giving and receiving lots of medicines here, and then Nine of Wands at the center. Those precautions that are being taken now, they get stricter. Um, this makes him feel quite isolated and alone. It also, I think, limits his activity, so therefore he actually is physically isolated and alone. We get the voters with the Four of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. This keeps coming up too. It's, they're a plan B, C, D, E, and F at this point. And then the Ten of Pentacles, thinking about his inheritance and what he's going to leave. So something's coming forward about his health. There's guardrails to try to prevent that coming forward. I don't know if we discovered like he's been like he changed some sort of estate plan or something along those lines. Um, the voters are wanting the truth, but there's like guardrails in between the voters and the truth. So I don't know that we get the truth just yet, but I think it's close. Some sort of juvenile um, laughter. I should say juvenile. Maybe it's not juvenile. It's just I think there's going to be some photographs of his makeup being smeared, and people are going to laugh at it. He's taking a lot of medicines, and there again, just nothing seems to be working, and they're trying to limit his physical activity with the Hermit card. Underneath, we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, thinking about his family and thinking about, I mean, you can't be more clear here. The Hierophant, I do think he's thinking about, the Christian view of the afterlife. And then we get the Ace of Wands, firing new leadership. When does that happen? It happens at Temperance. Where's Temperance? Well, Temperance is the card after death. So I think this is pretty close to the time frame that this is going to become at least more obvious, or it just happens. I still see him as like boom dead, but uh, that deck. I think I want this deck. Okay. All right, let's take a look at him in October. What's going on with him in October? What's his health look like in October? His energy definitely feels more slow. Do you get this like labored feeling of breathing? Um, I feel like it's interesting. I feel like he's sleeping in a chair now and not in a bed. Um, like sleeping setting up. I don't know if that would be part of that. I know sleep apnea sometimes it's better that way, but I don't know if that like I'm not sure medically why that would be, but I feel like he is, at least by the time we get to this time frame, sleeping in a chair, like a recliner chair, or at least a bed that elevates a lot, like the back elevates a lot. What's going on in October for the felon? Juggling things, stress. These aren't good for him. The Knight of Wands, somebody makes him angry. We get the King of Wands too. This feels like a Democrat speaking eloquently. We get the voters and the environment around the Four of Wands. Yeah. We get the Eight of Cups at the center of the reading, walking away from things that no longer serve us. One last hurrah is what it kind of feels like. We get the card for ill health, the Four of Swords. And we get death. I think this is the time frame. It sure feels that way. I think I've been saying October for forever. Um, so it feels like this is the time. Uh, I I don't know. It's like it's like lately the tennis ball going back and forth. It was going really fast there for a while and then it slowed down. I think I described it as like it's traveling through maple syrup now. And at this point, there just isn't, there is no tennis ball. There's just, there's nothing. And if you subscribe to his viewpoint or the viewpoint that he tells people he subscribes to, this would come right after death. I could get that wrong. I don't, I shouldn't presume. I'm not that well versed in Christianity, didn't grow up in the religion, so I shouldn't presume, but I believe that's right. Um, and then we get the Queen of Cups, empathy. So the stress kind of leads to this last hurrah moment, which is leads to some empathy. I mean, there's always empathy when people die, there just is. That doesn't mean that we don't celebrate. It doesn't mean that we don't feel relief. It reminds us of our own mortality, right? And the people that have gone before us in our own personal lives. So I think that's why the Queen of Wands is there. Death happens. That really is his last hurrah. And then somebody gives one hell of a speech, and it's a Democrat. It's not praising him by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. But it's not demonizing him either. It's like the exact right tonal pitch. This almost feels like it could be his name is eluding me. Mamdani, the mayoral candidate in New York City for the Democrats. Um, that's I think who picks the right tone. Um, Before this happens, I think the real key sign is to watch for him being really angry. Now, how can we tell he is always angry? I don't think you've ever seen him not be angry, but um, and then the voters at this point we probably have a pretty good indication that he's ill, and then we get judgment, but this is just after the death here, and then I don't think this is actually the Christian judgment. He might think it is, but I don't think it is. I think this is it's a judgment of people um, around the world, and that's why we get big celebrations. Underneath here, we have the Queen of Wands. We've got justice, this karmic justice, things coming back into balance, or at least moving in the correct direction, right? The scale still might be like, be like this, and then there's something like this. They're not back in balance by any stretch. and we get complete and utter downfall. And something does, I think, happen over the eclipses. I think that's right. That leads just, I don't think this happens till October. Um, I guess we'll see. I could certainly be right or wrong. I'm right more than I'm wrong, but this is what it feels like. It feels like October's is the time frame. So, all right. A happy weekend. I'll be back with another video soon.